The first thing I did after being reborn was marry my wife's aunt. Why? Because in my past life, our daughter and her white moonlight son were kidnapped at the same time. The kidnappers forced Ruyan Yanagi to make a choice. She could only save one. She only hesitated for a few seconds before unhesitatingly choosing her white moonlight son. In the very next second, our daughter was pushed off the high-rise building and fell to her death. Having witnessed all of this with my own eyes, I had a total mental breakdown on the spot and jumped off the high-rise right after her. Now, having a second chance at life, I am no longer willing to torture myself and only want to draw a clear line between Ruyan Yanagi and me. So I knelt down in front of my parents, every word ringing with sincerity. Mom, Dad, regarding the arranged marriage with the Yanagi family, I choose to marry Setsuka Yanagi. Hearing me suddenly make such a request, my parents were utterly stunned. Kosei, isn't Ruyan the one you like? Setsuka is Ruyan's aunt. As if remembering something, my eyes flickered slightly, my tone carrying a trace of sorrow. It is precisely because I know the consequences of loving her that I no longer dare to love her. Mom, Dad, I have never begged you for anything. As a young master of a wealthy family who has enjoyed the glory of our lineage, I know that an arranged marriage is a responsibility I must bear. I only have this one request. I beg you to fulfill it. Looking at my forehead, which was red from kowtowing, my parents sighed with emotion and helped me up. Since you have made up your mind, then your father and I will take a trip to the Yanagi family to ask. The only issue is that Setsuka Yanagi holds a position of high power and authority, so she might not necessarily agree to this marriage proposal. You have to be mentally prepared. While comforting me, my parents had the servants prepare gifts to visit their house. As the black sedan drove further and further away, I turned around to look at the living room, where the familiar decorations and scenery felt somewhat surreal. Transfixed, the phone on the table rang. It was nightfall, and it was a message sent by Ruyan Yanagi asking to meet me, attached with a bar address. Thinking about what had just happened, I also wanted to take this opportunity to make things clear about switching the person for the marriage alliance, so I rushed over there. As a result, the moment I pushed open the private room's door, a bucket of cold water poured straight down, soaking me through and through. The freezing cold seeped into my skin, making me shudder uncontrollably. I heard bursts of jeering laughter coming from all directions. Yo! Isn't this our young master of the Azuma family? How did he get drenched like a drowned rat? Serves him right! Who told him to chase after Sister Ruyan every single day? That's what an ungrateful, simping dog gets. Ruyan Yanagi walked up to me with a cold face, her eyes filled with gloom. Were you really in such a hurry to marry me? The moment rumors of the marriage alliance broke out, you rushed to have your parents come to my house to discuss the wedding, making it known all over town. Now the whole circle knows that you and I are getting married. Are you satisfied now? I knew she had misunderstood. I wiped the water off my face, brushed aside the wet hair clinging to my forehead, and looked at her calmly. The marriage alliance between the Azuma and Yanagi families is a done deal, so it makes no difference whose house is visited to discuss it. But you don't have to worry, because this matter has nothing to do with you. Ruyan Yanagi was stunned at first, then burst into a cold laugh. Has nothing to do with me? You're not trying to say that the person you're marrying isn't me, are you? How laughable! Apart from me, who else in the Yanagi family can marry you? Just as I was about to speak, the concealed door was pushed open. Fumiyoru, who burst in and saw this scene, had tears welling up in his eyes. Sister Ruyan, I heard that you're getting married. I came specifically to wish you happiness. I wish you and the young master of the Azuma family eternal happiness and a long life together. Saying that, his eyes turned red as he rushed out, leaving behind only faint crying sounds at the end. Fuma! Ruyan Yanagi immediately panicked, shoved aside the person standing in front of her, and gave chase. Pushed onto the coffee table, a wound was gouged into my forehead and blood poured out gushingly, looking extremely horrifying. A severe pain shot through my buttocks. As I watched those two figures departing into the distance, many past events surfaced in my mind. In my previous life, Ruyan Yanagi and I were childhood sweethearts who grew up together with extremely deep feelings. After turning into an adult, upon hearing my parents mention that our two families were going to form a marriage alliance, I thought of how Ruyan Yanagi had cared for me meticulously over all these years, so I chose her without turning back. But after hearing this news, her attitude towards me gradually changed, from anger to coldness and finally to disgust. I didn't understand the reason behind it, yet I still chose to marry her, thinking that things would slowly get better after marriage. But it wasn't until something happened to our child that I stumbled upon tens of thousands of cherished photos of Fumayoru in the study. Only at that moment did I realize that the one she actually liked was her family butler's son, and that she was merely unable to achieve her wish due to class differences. 2 years after she married, Fumayoru also married another woman, but their marital relationship was never harmonious. She got drunk every day, feeling sorrowful for him, and the day his wife died in a car accident was the happiest day of her life. I took all of this into my eyes with a bleak heart, yet I could only force myself not to pay attention and focus wholeheartedly on raising our daughter to adulthood. Until a kidnapping case dragged both my daughter and Fumayoru's son into it. The kidnappers wanted Ruyan Yanagi to make a choice to save one. She only hesitated for a few seconds before choosing the boy who had no blood relation to her. In the next second, our daughter was pushed off the high-rise building and fell to her death. Having witnessed all of this with my own eyes, I had a total mental breakdown on the spot and jumped off the high-rise building right after her. Now, having a second chance at life, I am no longer willing to torture myself and only want to draw a clear line between Ruyan Yanagi and me. In the private room, a bunch of people were still giggling and making sarcastic remarks. Forced love never blossoms. Sister Ruyan doesn't want to marry a certain someone, so what if they get married? When the time comes and Sister Ruyan doesn't come home, a certain simping dog will have to complain at home. Amidst the crowd of mockery, my phone rang. I picked it up to look and saw a message sent by my parents. "Kosei! Setsuka agreed. We will hold the wedding half a month from now." My parents were usually calm, but a whole 3 exclamation marks showed just how surprised and excited they were about Setsuka Yanagi's agreement. I suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. I forced myself to stand up and looked at this group of people who were watching the joke, the corners of my eyes and brows filled with a firmness like never before. Whether I am happy after marriage or not is none of your concern, nor does it have anything to do with Ruyan Yanagi. Please tell her that I am getting married in half a month. And the bride will not be her. After leaving the bar, I went to the hospital to treat my wound. After returning home, I cleaned up everything related to Ruyan Yanagi, sealed them in a box, and packed them away. Mr. and Mrs. Azuma, who happened to come back, froze for a moment upon seeing this. "Kosei, have you really let go of Ruyan and no longer like her?" Seeing my unhesitating nod, Mr. and Mrs. Azuma also felt relieved and spoke with a smile. "That's good. Setsuka is busy abroad, so today the members of the Yanagi family made a video call over to us and finalized the marriage. Compared to Ruyan, Setsuka is steady and dignified, which is indeed more suitable for you. It's just that she has a formidable reputation, so it felt like we were reaching above our station, and we didn't even dare to think about her. We originally thought she wouldn't agree, but unexpectedly, she accepted very quickly." My eyes suddenly turned red. At the very beginning, when I made up my mind, I knew that Setsuka Yanagi would definitely agree. In my past life, because of the generational gap, the children of aristocratic families were all afraid of her, and I was no exception. That was why I had very little contact with her and almost never met her except at family banquets. All I knew was that she poured her heart and soul into work, single-handedly creating a commercial empire standing at the absolute peak, and had never married. It wasn't until she died by suicide at the age of 35 that a stack of love letters was found in her bedroom during the sorting of her relics. Every letter was addressed to Ahoshi. No one in the Yanagi family knew who this was meant for. Only I knew that on the day I was born the sky was full of stars, and Ahoshi implied bright and fresh, a nickname given to me by the closest elder in my family. I never knew that the woman who held high power and was completely out of reach had been secretly in love with me for her entire life. Now that heaven has given me a second chance, I am willing to give us both an opportunity. While I was lost in thought, Mr. and Mrs. Azuma brought out a gift box and presented it in front of their son, their tone filled with gratification. "Kosei, tomorrow is your birthday, Setsuka couldn't rush back, so her assistant brought a gift out from the study. Take a look and see if you like it. The moment I opened it, I saw a dazzlingly radiant ring. This was the most expensive diamond ring auctioned at Sotheby's in the past 50 years, named Star Snatcher. I had the fortune of seeing it once and have been unable to forget it to this day. I never expected that Setsuka Yanagi would send such a priceless gift. For a moment, warmth welled up in my heart. In my past life, ever since rumors of our marriage alliance broke out, Ruyen Yanagi had never sent me any gifts again. I had long forgotten what it actually felt like to receive a gift from a lover. On the next day, my birthday banquet started right on time at 7 in the evening at the most luxurious hotel. A crowd of guests offered their blessings. With my marriage alliance matter finally settled, a giant stone was lifted from my heart, so a smile also appeared on my face. It wasn't until halfway through that a burst of commotion came from the crowd, everyone turning to look toward the entrance. Following everyone's gaze, I saw Ruyen Yanagi brazenly bringing Fumayoru to attend my birthday banquet. And this wasn't even the most humiliating part. The most humiliating part was a group of Ruyen Yanagi's close friends grandly carrying a giant plaque as they walked toward me. Right in the middle of the plaque were 4 big words written, "Hypocritical and deceitful, presented to Kosei Azuma." The guests rushed forward to watch the drama, whispering and discussing animatedly among themselves. My face turned utterly pale. Clenching my hands tightly, I stared fixedly at this group of troublemakers in front of me, my tone icy cold. "What is the meaning of this?" Several people sneered as they looked over, deliberately shouting at the top of their lungs, "We should be asking you that! Didn't you say yesterday that Sister Ruyen wasn't the bride? Then why is it that as soon as Sister Ruyen got home, she found that her family had already started preparing for the wedding? Who plays the game of hard to get better than you, young Master Azuma? I say these 4 words fit you perfectly. I knew he was just putting up a tough front yesterday. He chased Sister Ruyen for so many years. Who doesn't know that he simped to the point of abandoning his self-esteem? Now suddenly claiming he doesn't like her and won't marry her is nothing more than a stalling tactic. In the Yanagi family, the only one of the same generation as you is Sister Ruyen. If you don't marry her, who else can you marry? A burst of jeering laughter instantly echoed through the hall. Ruyen Yanagi also looked at me with a cold face. Kosei Azuma, stop doing such hypocritical things, and don't think about drawing my attention. After we get married in the future, apart from the status of being my lawful husband, I will give you nothing else. I had also heard her say this exact sentence in my past life, and she indeed didn't lie. During the 7 years of marriage, apart from the title, I truly received nothing. Hearing these words, the surrounding crowd discussed animatedly. My face also turned pale in an instant. Taking a deep breath, I raised my voice. "Ruyen Yanagi, I don't need you to give me any status. Listen carefully. The object of my marriage alliance is not you, nor is it anyone of your generation, but your—" Before the name could be proclaimed out loud, it was interrupted by a sudden accident. Fumayoru suddenly covered his nostrils, dense red rashes appearing on his face. With teary eyes, he leaned against Ruyen Yanagi's shoulder. "Sister Yanagi, I'm so itchy. Why are there so many hyacinths here? I'm allergic to hyacinths." Hyacinths were my favorite flowers, which was why every visible corner of the hall was decorated with them. Listening to the increasingly rushed breathing of the person in her arms, Ruyen Yanagi's face turned anxious as she kept calling Fuma's name, ultimately having someone take him directly to the hospital. In the end, she left behind only 2 sentences. One sentence was for me. "Kosei Azuma, after we get married in the future, you are not allowed to plant or display hyacinths anywhere." One sentence was for her group of friends. "After I leave, smash this banquet hall to pieces." All right, Sister Yanagi, guaranteed to complete the mission. Before the words even faded, the group of people barged around like bandits, picking up tables and chairs and smashing everything in sight. The birthday cake was smeared all over the ground, wine glass and dish fragments flew everywhere, and fresh flowers were trampled into mud by the dodging guests. "Stop it! What right do you have to smash my birthday banquet?" "Stop it? You're going to marry Sister Ruyen in the future anyway. Since you listen to your wife so much, naturally whatever Sister Ruyen says goes. Ha 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 ha." I shouted until my throat went hoarse, yet I couldn't stop this act of violence, receiving nothing but endless mockery in return. In the end, all the guests left, and my birthday banquet concluded in a complete mess. In the following days, I kept myself locked in my room with red eyes, never stepping out the front door. After learning about the absurd thing Ruyan Yanagi had done, the Azuma parents felt even more relieved that not letting their son marry her was a correct decision. They shouted about going to demand an explanation from the Yanagi family, but were stopped by me, who only stepped out of the room after suffering through several days. With the wedding approaching, I didn't want any more trouble. After persuading my parents, I left the house carrying a design blueprint. Locking myself away these past few days wasn't to mope over Ruyan Yanagi. She was already an irrelevant person to me. I stayed in my room to personally design a wedding ring for Setsuko Yanagi. I knew that Star Snatcher was extraordinarily valuable, so I secretly wanted to repay her deep affection with this heartfelt gesture. I handed the blueprint over to the butler, asking him to find a master artisan to hand carve and craft it. But when the agreed production period ended, the wedding ring was still delayed in being delivered. When I went to ask, I found out that a few days ago, Ruyan Yanagi came over to pick out jewelry and fell in love with this ring at first sight. After a few inquiries, she took it directly away, leaving behind only one sentence. Since it's meant for me anyway, there's no need to ask Kosei Azuma to come get it. The staff members also knew about the marriage alliance between the Azuma and Yanagi families, so they didn't stop her. My heart sank straight to the bottom in an instant. I hurriedly ran to the Yanagi house to find Ruyan Yanagi, wanting to retrieve the ring. As a result, the moment I stepped inside, I saw Fumayoru sitting in front of a pile of delivery boxes. "Miss, you hid it from me again and secretly cleared my shopping cart. You treat me so well, how can I ever repay you? I'm happy to do it, no need for you to repay me. Also, I've told you several times, you're not allowed to call me miss in the future." Fumayoru then timidly called her Ruyan. Watching the two of them exchanging flirtatious glances, I didn't even blink as I walked in with quick steps. Hearing the footsteps, Ruyan Yanagi turned around and frowned upon seeing me. "What are you doing here? Give me back the wedding ring you took." Looking at my gesture of reaching out, Ruyan Yanagi raised her eyebrows. "It's gone." My gaze tightened, my tone turning several degrees heavier. "What do you mean it's gone?" While Ruyan Yanagi was still thinking of an excuse, Fumayoru, who was sitting on the floor, spoke up with a timid expression. "Mr. Azuma, I saw on the internet that using a wedding ring is the easiest way to unbox packages, so I used it to open a few hundred packages. Now the ring is already scratched up. Do you still want it?" Saying that, he spread open his palm, revealing that heavily scratched and mottled ring. Ruyan Yanagi actually took my wedding ring and gave it to Fumayoru to unbox packages. In an instant, a burst of rage surged within my heart, rapidly spreading to all four limbs and full body. Unable to control my emotions any longer, I looked at the two indifferent people in front of me with red eyes. "Ruyan Yanagi, what right do you have to take my things without permission? Fumayoru, what right do you have to ruin it like this? Don't you two know how to write the word respect?" Seeing me break down like this over a ring, Ruyan Yanagi's good mood was completely ruined, her tone laced with impatience. "This wedding ring was originally meant for me by you anyway, so what are you making a fuss about here? By the way, I've decided to just register for a marriage certificate and not hold a wedding ceremony, so it's useless for you to design a wedding ring. Don't waste your efforts." Angered by her dismissive attitude, I clenched my fists tightly and declared once again, "Ruyan Yanagi, this wedding ring was not meant for you." "If it wasn't meant for me, who else could it be for? Kosei Azuma, that's enough from you. You've overacted your part." While snapping back, Ruyan Yanagi casually tossed that ring away, then pulled Fumayoru toward the door. "Don't lower yourself to his level. It's a waste of time." "Fuma, didn't you say a few days ago that you wanted to learn how to drive? Come on, I'll teach you." Looking at the backs of the two leaving, countless feelings of anger and unwillingness surged into my heart, making me want to give chase, but I didn't have the strength to split myself in two and could only squat on the ground first to search for that ring. It took me a full half hour before I found it in the flower bed. After carefully putting it into my pocket, I didn't stay for a single second and turned around to leave directly. Now it was too late to make a new one, so I could only find someone to repair it to see if it could be restored to its original appearance. However, just as I walked out of the villa, I heard a strange noise in my ears the moment I raised my head. I saw a car swerving straight toward me. My eyes opened wide in shock, and with a loud bang, I was knocked more than 10 meters away, falling into a pool of blood. Fumayoru, who was driving, pretended to be terrified and got out of the car crying, "It's over! It's over!" I just learned how to drive and accidentally mistook the brake for the gas pedal. Now I've gotten into big trouble. Mr. Azuma bled so much. Ruyan, will anything happen to him? Seeing the large area of stone steps stained red with blood, Ruyan Yanagi knitted her brows, held Fumayoru in her arms, and comforted him softly. "It's fine. He has always loved playing pity, so right now he's nothing more than acting. There's no need to care. When he can't go on acting in a little while, he'll wake up. Fuma, don't be afraid, and don't cry either." Hearing these words in a daze, I only felt cold all over my body, and tears could no longer be held back from flowing down. "Ruyan Yanagi, I originally thought that even if you didn't like me, after we were childhood sweethearts for so many years, you would at least have a tiny bit of affection for me. Yet in the end, just to coax Fumayoru, you could completely disregard my life. Why did I fall in love with you in my past life?" I struggled to call for help, but the moment I grasped my phone, the strength in my body was completely exhausted. Boundless darkness surged in, swallowing me up entirely. When I opened my eyes again, it was already the next day. Shortly after I opened my eyes, the doctor came in holding a medical chart and spoke sternly. "How come you weren't sent to the hospital in time after getting into a car accident? Why did you have to bleed so much before being sent to the hospital? Aren't you people being ridiculous?" Recalling the scene before losing consciousness, I moved my lips but only let out a bitter smile, not knowing how to answer. Was I supposed to say that my childhood sweetheart was busy coaxing another man, so she left me to die without saving me? The doctor didn't pursue the question further and merely continued, "Where is your wife? Tell her to handle the hospitalization procedures for you." Before the effects of the anesthesia had even passed, I subconsciously blurted out, "Abroad!" Before the words even faded, the ward door was pushed open. Ruyan Yanagi, who happened to enter, looked at me fixedly. "Who is abroad? Isn't she right here?" "You're definitely his wife since you signed the surgical consent form, right? Didn't I say that during the patient's unconsciousness, someone needs to keep watch 24 hours a day? Why did you suddenly disappear?" "Fortunately, nothing went wrong." "Then go process the procedures." As the doctor spoke, he handed her the hospitalization slip and left the ward. "She is not my wife." Seeing that the person had already walked far away, I was still explaining. For some reason, Ruyan Yanagi felt a bit uncomfortable in her heart. "All right, you've already been brought to the hospital, so stop playing this kind of game of hard to get." Know when to stop. She placed the bag in her hand on the table, and after seeing the gauze wrapped around my head, her tone softened a bit. "It's still hot. Eat it while it's hot." Looking at the familiar logo, I froze. In the past, every time I fell ill, I couldn't eat anything, so Ruyan Yanagi would queue for a long time, dozens of miles away, to buy red bean pastries from this shop to make me happy. But whether in my past life or this life, ever since she learned about the marriage alliance, she had never been this gentle again. Looking at the steaming vapor inside the bag, I didn't make any move and gently closed my eyes. In the next second, I heard Ruyan Yanagi's somewhat hesitant voice. "About yesterday's matter, Fuma didn't do it on purpose, so don't trouble him." So it was still for Fumayoru. I opened my eyes again and actually laughed to the point of tears. "Ruyan Yanagi, he committed intentional harm, so I will definitely report it to the police to let him receive the punishment he deserves." The expression on Ruyan Yanagi's face froze all of a sudden, and she became somewhat flustered and exasperated. "I bought the food for you and apologized on his behalf. Kosei Azuma, don't push your luck." Seeing that she couldn't keep up the act so quickly, I smiled again and looked at her with red-rimmed eyes like a silent confrontation. As if knowing my stubborn temper after an unknown amount of time, Ruyan Yanagi rubbed the space between her eyebrows and let out a heavy sigh. Since that's the case, then both of us will take a step back. Isn't making such a big fuss just because you want me to marry you? Since that's the case, I'll give you a wedding, the very wedding that both families are currently preparing for and that you've been dreaming of. I'll go. Are you satisfied now? Seeing the restrained expression on her face, I lowered my eyes and couldn't help but recall past events. In my past life, Ruyan Yanagi didn't come to that wedding. She felt disgust toward me and disgust toward that wedding. Yet now she relented, but it was still because of Fuma Yoru. Thinking back to the past, although she didn't like me, she still married me, mostly because she was threatened by her family, right? After all, Fuma Yoru was her only weakness, and merely a butler's son, easily manipulated without fear of him disobeying. But in this life, I will absolutely not repeat the same mistake. So I made it explicitly clear. No need. The bride was never you in the first place, so whether you go or not has zero impact. Ruyan Yanagi was completely enraged by me, but just as she was about to lose her temper, her phone rang. Seeing the two words Fuma Yoru, she didn't care about anything else and turned straight around to leave. Watching the door slowly close, I picked up my phone and dialed 110 to report to the police. After I explained the whole story clearly, I learned an unexpected piece of news. Mr. Azuma, we are very sorry, but this car accident was merely an accident. Your fiancé signed a letter of understanding on the spot, so a case cannot be filed. Hearing this result, I only felt a breath stuck in my chest, unable to come up or go down. I slammed the phone violently against the wall, shattering it. Pain spread from all four limbs to my heart, and in the end, I could no longer hold it in, crying out loud all alone in the empty ward. In the following days, Ruyan Yanagi came to the hospital almost every day to deliver fruit and nourishing soup, and even invited several doctors for a joint consultation. My emotions had already stabilized, regarding her as nothing. Seeing this cold appearance of mine, she also panicked a bit, not knowing what kind of temper I was throwing again. But because I was a patient, she could only force herself to endure it. Until the day I was discharged, I refused to get into her car no matter what. Unable to restrain the irritation in her heart any longer, she questioned, "I've already made concessions, so how long are you going to keep making a fuss? If you keep acting like this, aren't you afraid that I'll give up completely and not marry you?" I knew that no matter how much I explained, she wouldn't believe it, so I simply lowered my head and pretended not to hear. In Ruyan Yanagi's eyes, this was me softening up, so her mood slowly improved, her tone softening considerably. "Don't make a fuss in the future either. My aunt is coming back today, so I'll take you to attend the family banquet. She is the head of the Yanagi family and will announce our marriage alliance in front of the whole family tonight. Since I promised you, I will definitely attend. And when the time comes, I'll give you a grand wedding. You should finally be satisfied, right?" Only then did I raise my head to glance at her, a trace of excited joy carried within my tone that had been indifferent for days. "Your aunt has returned to the country?" Seeing that I had returned to normal, Ruyan Yanagi curled her lips with a face full of understanding. "Yeah, were you really in such a hurry to marry me? Don't worry, I will attend the wedding. Just don't play these games anymore in the future. The strategy of playing hard to get is fine once or twice, but if done too much, I'll get sick of it too." As Ruyan Yanagi spoke, she pulled open the car door. I knew that even if I explained, she wouldn't listen, so I didn't bother to explain. After sitting in the passenger seat, I said directly, "I want to go home to freshen myself up and change into another set of clothes." Seeing how much I valued this banquet, she assumed I loved her too much, and thus wanted to meet her aunt in a good appearance. Ruyan Yanagi raised her eyebrows, rarely agreeing to my request for once. After everything was ready, the two of us returned to the Yanagi family's ancestral home. Many people came to the banquet, and seeing me was no surprise. They all greeted me, and after returning the courtesies one by one, I sat in a corner waiting for Setsuka Yanagi's appearance. Because I didn't know what kind of scene our reunion would be, I was absent-minded the whole evening, my heart thumping rapidly. Ruyan Yanagi on the side quickly noticed that something was wrong and looked at me with displeasure. "I'm right here, so what are you dazing off for? Warning you one last time. I've already agreed to marry you, so you're not allowed to put on this face anymore. Otherwise, I can go back on my word at any time." I couldn't help but want to refute, but the words were stopped at the tip of my tongue. Anyway, he would know very soon that the bride wasn't her, so there was no need to waste words. After a few minutes, the hall door finally opened, and everyone turned around together, looking forward with bated breath. But the person who appeared was indeed not Setsuka Yanagi, but Old Master Yanagi. Walking falteringly onto the stage, he announced in public. Before departing, Setsuka encountered a minor car accident and missed her flight. Currently, she is still abroad, so she won't be attending today's banquet. Hearing this news, I stood up abruptly, my tone full of nervousness. "Grandpa Yanagi, how is she? Is it serious?" Old Master Yanagi waved his hand to appease me. "It's fine, and it won't delay official business either. Kosei, rest assured." Ruyan Yanagi frowned, pulled me down to sit, and scolded in a low voice. "Although the marriage alliance is set in stone, you haven't entered the Yanagi family yet, so don't express such deep concern for my aunt just to show off your status. This isn't proper etiquette." I was beyond endurance and just wanted to speak directly, but Old Master Yanagi coughed and the whole hall instantly quieted down. Gathering everyone today is mainly to announce the matter of the marriage alliance between the Azuma and Yanagi families. The wedding date has been set for 7 days from now, and the location is Nanping Villa. One of the parties in the marriage alliance is the young master of the Azuma family, Kosei Azuma. Amidst the old master's deep, resonant announcement, Ruyan Yanagi received a message from Fumayoru. Whatever the other party sent made her expression change, and she quickly got up to leave the venue without listening to the rest. The other party is the head of our Yanagi family, Setsuka Yanagi. This unexpected candidate made the whole venue boil, endless whispers erupting. Did I hear wrong? It's Setsuka, not Ruyan. Yeah, how could it be Setsuka? Isn't the family head unpredictable? How could she marry a young kid? The crowd's discussion almost overturned the entire hall out of fear of Setsuka Yanagi's status. Although everyone was shocked, they didn't dare say much and offered their blessings one after another to me as I stood up to pay my respects. After the banquet ended, I couldn't let go of the car accident in my heart and made a special effort to meet Old Master Yanagi. The old master patted my shoulder, his face full of joy. "Setsuka sent photos for me to see. It's just a minor injury and she'll recover very soon. Kosei, you just prepare with peace of mind." Only with these words did I feel at ease. Over the next 2 or 3 days, I stayed at home preparing invitation cards, wedding clothes, dowry, and other items, completely ignoring outside affairs. During this period, I received many messages sent by Ruyan Yanagi's friends, not clicking open a single one. It wasn't until one day before resting that I accidentally clicked in, only to find that what they were talking about was all one thing. Sister Ruyan got a little injured and was hospitalized at the City Center Hospital, Ward 609. Aren't you coming to take a look? Remember to bring some red bean soup that Sister Ruyan loves to drink. What's the meaning of constantly not replying to messages? Are you still playing this outdated game of hard to get? Is there no end to it? Kosei Azuma, what are you doing? What are you pretending for as a simping dog? Hurry up and come over. Seeing these again, I only felt it was laughable. I spent a few seconds typing a line of text and sending it over. Ruyan Yanagi got into a car accident. There are caregivers, you guys, and Fumayoru, so what does it have to do with me? After showing that the message was successfully sent, I opened Moments. Scrolling down a whole list, they were all selfies posted by Ruyan Yanagi in the hospital. In my impression, she almost never updated Moments, so I was a bit surprised upon seeing it, but I didn't take it to heart either, taking a glance and exiting. I asked the Yanagi family member I added a few days ago about many things regarding Setsuka Yanagi, and after learning that Setsuka Yanagi liked to eat fish, I went to my family's fish pond the next day, intending to scoop up a few fish to practice my cooking skills so I could cook for her in the future. Just as I picked out the ones I liked and turned around, I saw Fumayoru coming face to face toward me, not knowing how he got in. He was twisting his fingers, looking extremely innocent. "Mr. Azuma, did you get angry because you knew that Ruyan fought with someone and injured her hand to protect me? It's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I know you are her fiancé and I'm just a butler's son, not worth her spending so much effort." Listening to his tea-like tone, I frowned. turned my body, and was about to leave. Fuma Yoru grabbed my hand in a flash, and under my puzzled gaze revealed a provocative smile. Before I could understand why his face suddenly changed, I saw him raise his hand to slap himself hard several times on the face, crying hysterically. "Mr. Azuma, whether you hit me or scold me, I accept it all. I only beg you, can you please stop fighting with Miss? As long as you go see Miss, no matter how you treat me, I will absolutely not resist." Seeing his uncharacteristic behavior, my eyelids twitched as I realized something was wrong. Just as I was about to pull my hand back and leave, I saw Ruyan Yanagi full of rage, barging in with a group of people and surrounding us completely. "Kosei Azuma, why did you hit Fuma? I've already promised you that I will hold the wedding, so don't be ungrateful." I looked at her coldly. "I didn't hit him. There's surveillance over there. Go look for yourself." After saying that, I intended to leave. Unexpectedly, Ruyan Yanagi, whose head was clouded by anger, glared at me and couldn't listen to a single word, her voice like frost. "In the past, I thought you were just a young master with an overly arrogant temper, but now it seems you are simply beyond saving." After saying that, she directly had her friends restrain me, then grabbed Fuma Yoru's hand. "Fuma, I won't allow you to suffer any grievance. Slap him back." At first, Fuma Yoru sobbed and said he didn't dare, but after the whole group gave him courage and backing, he stopped acting and used all the strength in his body to slap me hard. With a loud pop, my face swelled up high, and my forehead, which hadn't fully healed, also began to seep blood. A burning pain spread along my nerves, slapping my ears into a buzz. Taking advantage of no one noticing, Fuma Yoru pushed me, who hadn't snapped back to reality yet, into the pond in one shove. He even put on a kind-hearted front, saying he wanted to save me. Ruyan Yanagi swept a cold glance over and left directly with her people. "Don't bother. This water is so shallow it can't drown anyone." I thrashed around in the water all by myself for a long time, completely exhausting my strength before being noticed and rescued. After returning, I developed a high fever that very night, which still hadn't subsided by the next day. I had many dreams related to the past, tears hanging from the corners of my eyes as I babbled nonsense incessantly. "I feel so uncomfortable. Sister Ruyan, didn't you go buy red bean pastries for me? Why haven't you come back yet?" "It was my fault. I'm sorry, Sister Ruyan. I promise you that in the future, I will absolutely never hide love letters sent to you by other boys again." Ruyan Yanagi, who happened to push open the door and enter, felt her heart soften a few degrees upon hearing these old memories, recalling the time when I followed behind her, and she was also willing to dote on me. Why make such a mess when things were fine? If you hadn't insisted on forcing me to marry you, I would have treated you as a younger brother for a lifetime. Hearing this sentence in a daze, I woke up. The moment I opened my eyes, Ruyan Yanagi restored that dismissive appearance from days ago and opened her mouth coldly. "The old master heard that you were sick and insisted that I come see you. Don't flatter yourself. I was forced. Otherwise, I would absolutely never come over." In the next second, Fuma Yoru walked in timidly and began apologizing in a panic. "Mr. Azuma, yesterday's matter was my fault. Please forgive me." Having received a slap for no reason and then being pushed into the lake, I finally recovered a little bit at this moment, but I no longer had the strength to argue. Supporting myself to sit up falteringly, I was just preparing to kick them out when I saw Fuma Yoru staring fixedly at my neck. I couldn't help but touch my neck. Hanging there was a necklace that Ruyan Yanagi gave me on my coming-of-age ceremony. Ruyan Yanagi naturally noticed it too. Knowing that this necklace was very important to me, her eyes narrowed slightly. "Fuma, I'll customize another one for you after I go back." Halfway through her sentence, it came to an abrupt halt. I ripped off the necklace directly, threw it over, and then forced myself to get up, bringing the box I packed a while ago to Ruyan Yanagi together. Looking at my cold movements, Ruyan Yanagi's heart suddenly startled. What is the meaning of this? Stuffing the box directly into her arms, I said softly, "I'm getting married. If my future wife sees these things you sent in the past, she will misunderstand. Ruyan Yanagi, I'm returning all of these to you and we will have no relation from now on." Knowing that my old fault was acting up again, Ruyan Yanagi overturned everything in the box with one pull, looking at me with a dark face. You were the one who hit Fuma first in the beginning, yet you're throwing a temper instead? Isn't your future wife just me? Still talking about no relation? Let's see if you can keep putting on this act on the wedding day. After venting all the suppressed dissatisfaction in her heart in one breath, she pulled Fuma Yoru and left in a huff. Looking at the floor in a complete mess, I smiled, called someone over, and dumped this pile of trash straight into the garbage bin. On the day before the wedding, I received a text message containing only one sentence: "I'm back, see you tomorrow." No signature, no remark, but I knew it was her. Setsuka Yanagi, my swaying heart suddenly settled down, and I had a good night's sleep. At 10 o'clock the next day, the Yanagi family's wedding fleet arrived at the Azuma family, followed by cameras behind them. This wealthy marriage alliance was going to be made public to the whole city via live streaming. Ruyan Yanagi opened the car door and went upstairs. Seeing me in a white suit, a trace of amazement flashed across her eyes. For some reason, she always felt as if she had seen this scene somewhere before. She was lost in thought for a while until the person beside her reminded her. Only then did she stretch out her hand toward me. But I didn't hold it, looking at her with a calm face, my tone light. "Ruyan Yanagi, you've come to the wrong place. You should be sitting in the guest section." These words annoyed Ruyan Yanagi, her face darkening instantly. "Are you starting again? Don't you know today's wedding is being live-streamed whole? Must you keep making a fuss and make both families lose all face?" I didn't argue with her and went downstairs by myself. Ruyan Yanagi's empty hand squeezed into a tight fist. She took a deep breath, forcibly suppressed her emotions, and followed behind me. Just as she was about to sit in the back seat of the wedding car, her phone rang. 1 minute later, she shut the car door and looked at me inside the car. "I have something very important to attend to, so I can't go to the wedding venue. Go over and tell the elders on both sides that the wedding is canceled." She originally thought that after saying these words, I would probably be sad and embarrassed, and tears would fall out. But I just looked at her calmly. "I said that whether you come to this wedding or not is fine, because the bride isn't you." Seeing this indifferent appearance of mine, a trace of panic suddenly flashed through Ruyan Yanagi's heart. Yet she still said sternly, "I said cancel the wedding. If I, the bride, don't show up, do you really want to become the laughingstock of the whole city?" This time, I was too lazy to even speak and directly told the driver to drive. Soon, the Grand Fleet drove away from the scene. Ruyan Yanagi had no time to appease my temper either, hailing a car by the roadside. By the time she rushed to the hot spring villa in the suburbs and saw Fuma Yoru surrounded by a group of friends, her eyebrows knitted together right away. "Didn't you say Fuma was in danger?" A group of friends pulled her inside, giggling. "Lied to you. If we didn't say that, how could you run away from the wedding? We just wanted to see what kind of joke Kosei Azuma could make today." Hearing these words, Ruyan Yanagi's expression changed abruptly. She quickly pushed away the hand resting on her shoulder, turned around, and was about to leave. "Nonsense!" Fuma Yoru hugged her arm, blinked his red-rimmed eyes, his tone full of begging. "Ruyan, my head really hurts a bit. Stay behind to accompany me, okay? Anyway, this is very far from the wedding venue, so you won't make it in time even if you go over." The fact was indeed so, but Kosei Azuma, while she was hesitating, her friends had already laughingly turned on the live stream screen mirror. On the screen, everything was proceeding step by step as planned. Seeing that I bent on having my own way and refused to cancel the wedding, everyone's face showed sarcastic smiles. "Still haven't called it off? How embarrassing will it be when it starts without a bride?" Kosei Azuma wants to marry her way too much, right? Making fun of both families. Dignity. It'll be hilarious when it can't be wrapped up later. Ruyan Yanagi didn't know what on earth I was thinking, angry to the point where her face was gloomy enough to drip water. She was pondering whether to call the Yanagi family members to inform them when a gasp came from beside her. "The wedding has started." Ruyan Yanagi instinctively raised her head, only to see Mr. Azuma leading me, delivering me to the center of the stage. I stood all alone under the spotlight for a very long time, and the bride didn't appear either. In the live stream room, the screen was flooded with bullet comments full of question marks, and "the bride ran away from the wedding." The people in the room laughed so hard they doubled over, unable to even straighten their waists. Ruyan Yanagi, who had anticipated this result long ago, had a cold face, her tone carrying sarcasm and stupidity. Foolish! She couldn't watch any further and wanted to close the live stream. Just as her hand pressed the exit button, she heard the MC's voice, "Bride, enter." In the next second, the tightly closed door opened, under the eyes of 10,000 people. Setsuka Yanagi, wearing a wedding dress embedded with sky blue diamonds, slowly entered. She faced the whole venue, nodded slightly to signal, and those unpredictably deep eyes swept across, giving people an extremely strong sense of pressure. The entire hall instantly quieted down. Not a sound was heard. The guests on site were all stunned. No one expected that for the marriage alliance between the Azuma and Yanagi families, the bride was actually Setsuka Yanagi. The group of people in front of the screen, waiting to watch a good show, also froze in place like stone pillars. Ruyan Yanagi clenched her teeth tightly, blue veins popping on her forehead, her voice full of violent rage. "Aunt! Impossible! It must be a mistake somewhere!" Once these words came out, everyone in the room snapped back to reality, echoing stutteringly, "Yes, yes, yes! It must be the Emsei who got it wrong. How could President Yanagi marry Kosei Azuma? The gap between them is huge. Kosei Azuma was rejected even by Sister Ruyan, so how could he be worthy of President Yanagi? An oolong, just an oolong." While the group of people was still denying it, Setsuka Yanagi had already walked to the center of the stage. The wedding had already entered the next process, new couple vows. "Miss Setsuka Yanagi, are you willing to marry Mr. Kosei Azuma as your husband? Love him and be faithful to him, whether rich or poor, young or old, staying together with him through thick and thin, until your hair turns white?" After hearing Setsuka Yanagi vows with absolute certainty, "I do," the entire room fell into a dead silence. Everyone opened their mouths wide, looking at everything before their eyes with full, disbelieving eyes. Ruyan Yanagi's mind went blank, blood flowing backward throughout her entire body. She casually grabbed a set of car keys, overturned the wine table in front of her with one flip, and rushed out like crazy, completely ignoring the shouts behind her. Only one thought was left in Ruyan Yanagi's mind. Kosei Azuma was clearly her fiancé and could only marry her alone. He must absolutely not marry her aunt. Stepping on the gas pedal all the way to the bottom, she ran more than 10 red lights in a row. By the time Ruyan Yanagi rushed to the scene, the wedding banquet had reached its end and the guests had mostly dispersed, leaving only the relatives of the Azuma and Yanagi families here. Among the crowd, she spotted Kosei Azuma talking and laughing in the center. At a single glance, went straight up to grab his hand, her tone filled with unprecedented panic and nervousness. "Follow me." Before I could speak, the two families spoke up first. "Ruyan, what are you doing? How come you only showed up when your aunt's and my wedding is already over? Kosei and Setsuka still have to return to the ancestral home to serve tea later. What mess are you causing?" "Ruyan Yanagi, let go of your hand. It's fine if you cause trouble normally, but today is your aunt's wedding. If you cause trouble again, I'll punish you." Countless parents were scolding, yet Ruyan Yanagi still stuck stubbornly to her own view, increasing the strength in her hand. My wrist was grabbed until it turned red. I frowned slightly, just about to speak, when I heard a gentle and magnetic voice coming from behind. "Let go." Only 2 words, yet Ruyan Yanagi released her hand like receiving an electric shock. She didn't even dare to turn her head back, calling out stubbornly. "Aunt!" Setsuka Yanagi didn't respond to her. The crowd automatically separated a path, and she walked straight to my side, raised my hand, rubbed it gently, and only then glanced sideways at Ruyan Yanagi, saying, "This is your uncle-in-law." The air seemed to freeze. Ruyan Yanagi was extremely resistant to this title, but under Setsuki Yanagi's powerful aura, the fine hairs all over her body stood up, as if ants were crawling on her. That feeling of fear buried deep in her blood prompted her to whisper that title softly. "Uncle-in-law." In front of both families, I responded to her grandly. "We're family from now on." Word by word, like a heavy stone blocking Ruyan Yanagi's heart, making her unable to catch her breath. She clenched her fist tightly, staring at me intently, emotions surging in her eyes. I could feel her unwillingness and anger, but didn't care. I held Setsuka Yanagi's hand and asked her about the next itinerary with a smile on my face. Setsuka Yanagi checked the time, and when she raised her eyes again, a trace of tenderness rarely surfaced in those eyes that usually had no ripples, saying, "Because the plane was delayed during the transfer, the morning tea serving was skipped. According to etiquette, we should go to the ancestral home to make up for it first. But you've been tired all day, so let's push these etiquettes to tomorrow. Can we go back to rest first?" Hearing these words, the elders of the Yanagi family all teased laughingly. Yo, it really is different after getting married. She even knows how to care for her husband. Usually, Setsuka looks cold and distant, but it turns out she can speak gentle words. The youngest daughter has also formed a family. The whole family is gathered under one roof. Old Master Yanagi, glowing with health, waved his hand and spoke loudly. "As long as you two treat each other with mutual respect and live a good life, whether we drink this tea or not is fine." Kosei got up early to pack, so he must be exhausted. Don't disturb the couple either. Disperse, everyone disperse. Amidst the crowd of teasing, Setsuka Yanagi pulled me away from the venue. Looking at the backs of the two departing, the knuckles of Ruyan Yanagi's clenched fist creaked loudly. Those emotions of anger and pain suppressed in her body completely poured out after the crowd dispersed. What on earth is going on here? For the marriage alliance between the Azuma and Yanagi families, shouldn't it be me marrying Kosei Azuma? Father and Mother Azuma, who were immersed in joy, were startled by her angry shout and looked at this daughter with full displeasure. "What kind of madness are you throwing again?" Half a month ago, when the Azuma family visited, Uncle Azuma, Aunt Azuma, and Kosei named you specifically. Aunt has never mentioned your name, so how could it be your turn? Fumayoru, who arrived late, and a group of people froze upon entering and hearing this conversation. Looking at the large group that suddenly barged in, which also contained Fumayoru, Father and Mother Yanagi, had already guessed the reason for Ruyan Yanagi's absence today, their faces darkening as well. "This morning your aunt said her transfer in Macau was delayed, so we asked you to help pick up the groom. You did great, running away halfway to fool around with a bunch of fair-weather friends. What propriety is that?" Today's wedding, all relatives of the Azuma and Yanagi families were present except you. If Uncle Azuma hadn't helped persuade him, the old master would definitely have punished you. In the future, Kosei will be your uncle-in-law, so watch yourself and don't do anything out of line, otherwise when your aunt gets angry, no one can protect you. Amidst these scoldings, Ruyan Yanagi's face slowly turned pale beyond measure. She had never thought that one day I would become her uncle-in-law. Her shoulders trembled uncontrollably as she closed her eyes in despair. Those past events she once mocked surfaced scene by scene before her eyes. Me drenched like a drowned rat in the bar, still clarifying loudly. The slightly smaller wedding ring I designed that she had to exert great effort to put on. The emotion of being unable to help feeling nervous upon hearing Aunt's name at the family banquet. Up until this moment, Ruyan Yanagi finally understood that everything was real. I had never lied to her. It was just that she was immersed in the past of being fervently pursued by me, so she overlooked my change. From the day of the engagement, I was no longer the old me. But clearly the person who made a fuss about having to form a marriage alliance with her just the day before, why did he seem like a changed person overnight? Perhaps it wasn't the person that changed, but the attitude? What she did in the past hurt my heart too much, so I decided to give up. Or it was marrying her aunt, just another strategy of playing hard to get? Countless thoughts lingered in Ruyan Yanagi's mind. She only felt like her head was going to explode, clutching her hair desperately. Seeing her like this, Fumayoru hugged her with a face full of distress, comforting her incessantly. Father and Mother Yanagi, who were about to leave, saw this, and their faces turned extremely unsightly. A butler's son actually dared to dream of climbing onto the high branch of the Yanagi family. Although I knew Setsuka Yanagi's feelings, because the two of us had no interaction in both lives, I was still a bit unnatural when we were actually alone. Setsuka Yanagi also noticed my emotion and spoke warmly. "Everyone calls you Kosei?" Not expecting her to speak suddenly, I nodded gently and picked up the topic. "Grandma and Grandpa also call me An. You can call me that too." Halfway through speaking, my face turned red all of a sudden. Unaccountably recalling that love letter I had only seen once, I lowered my eyes somewhat guiltily. As if remembering something, a glimmer flashed in Setsuka Yanagi's eyes, a gentle smile on her lips. Ah, and for some reason, I heard a trace of pleasure from her tone. Unable to control my curiosity, I peeked my head secretly to verify, only to bump straight into her deep pupils. The moment our eyes made contact, I was unconsciously attracted, staring at her blankly. In the next second, I heard her say a sentence that exceeded my perception of her. N is very good. Kosei is also not bad. But I think husband is the best. After all, this is one of a kind. Hearing the last 4 words, my heart thumped rapidly like a drum. I didn't know how to respond, so I could only make an M sound, hurriedly shifting my gaze and lowering my head. Although the air conditioner was turned on in the car cabin, I was so hot that sweat covered my body and the hand 2 of us held together was all sticky. Setsuka Yanagi let out a light laugh, thoughtfully turned the temperature down a few degrees, and handed over a handkerchief. I took it to wipe my sweat, only to hear her continue talking to herself. Although we have a generational gap and I'm 7 years older than you, roughly calculating it, we can barely be considered peers. Hearing this, the driver who had worked for the Yanagi family for more than 30 years couldn't hold it in and interrupted. President Yanagi, how do you calculate this? Isn't it way too rough and forced? Setsuka Yanagi glanced at the person in the mirror who was smiling happily, her tone somewhat helpless. Uncle Yan, don't undermine me. All right. I won't speak, okay? You continue. Setsuka Yanagi only then pulled back her gaze and picked up her unfinished words. Although we had no interaction before, we are husband and wife from now on. You don't need to be so afraid of me, just like an ordinary couple. Say whatever you want. I will humbly listen to husband's advice and fulfill a wife's responsibility. This was the first time I heard her speak such a long paragraph, and also the first time seeing her chat casually in such a relaxed and natural tone in public. For a moment, I wasn't quite adapted to it yet and couldn't help asking, say whatever I want? Seeing Setsuka Yanagi nod, I plucked up my courage and asked a question. Why did you agree to form a marriage alliance with me? Setsuka Yanagi froze for a few seconds, then quickly restored her composure, asking back, I can answer you, but before that, I also want to ask you a question. For the marriage alliance candidate, why did you choose me? Now it was my turn to have a headache. Fortunately, my brain was quick and soon figured out a few reasons. I am the only son of the Azuma family, and you are the head of the Yanagi family. A marriage alliance is about joining forces, right? Besides, our ages don't differ by much, so we definitely have common topics to chat about, with no need to worry about living together after marriage. You're so outstanding, so I tried asking the best first. If you really agreed, wouldn't I have gotten a huge bargain? Listening, Setsuka Yanagi knew at a glance that I was just making things up, and this wasn't the true thought in my heart. But there were some things she truly wanted to ask to the bottom. So after I finished babbling, she asked further. In your heart, the first candidate for the marriage alliance was me, and settling for second best was Ruyan? The car cabin fell silent in an instant. Hearing this name made me recall those gray past days, my eyes flickering slightly, realizing that I didn't want to talk about this person. Setsuka Yanagi was just about to change the topic when she heard my voice, which had lowered considerably. No! Firm and decisive. 2 words. After saying that, I raised my head to look at her fixedly, my eyes filled with a decisiveness she had never seen before. If you didn't agree, then I would definitely find a way to cancel this kind of marriage alliance. Hearing this answer, Setsuka Yanagi felt unaccountably relieved. She rubbed her fingertips and asked 2 more questions that were very important to me. Is Ruyan not good? Didn't you like her very much? Her barely audible voice carried a trace of complex emotion that was hard to fathom. I captured it. I knew why she asked this question, and also knew that my answer would affect the interaction mode between us two in the future. Setsuka Yanagi was a restrained and proud woman. She would absolutely never allow herself to become a substitute for someone else who couldn't be obtained. In the past life, those feelings could be buried completely for more than 30 years, until she died by accident before being discovered, which showed her somewhat abnormal self-control. If she knew that I came back through rebirth and only chose her to avoid repeating the same mistake, she would definitely continue to hide those feelings. This was not what I wanted to see, so I told a lie. I originally only liked her face. I thought that since we were going to form a marriage alliance, marrying an outstanding beauty was quite nice, which was why I chased after her. You're so omnipotent, so you must know that the person she likes isn't me, right? I didn't have your capability and only recently discovered this matter. I am the dignified young master of the Azuma family. So how could I tolerate my wife having another man in her heart? Thus, without any hesitation, I decided to dump her. You're 100 times, 1,000 times better than her, so I thought I'd give it a try. Anyway, the whole Jinbei knows that I, Kosei Azuma, stop at no means and disregard face to chase women. Although my tone was relaxed, Setsuka Yanagi saw the faint tears at the bottom of my eyes. Having floated in the business world for many years, she had seen all kinds of monsters and demons, so she could easily see through human hearts. Yet facing me who was lying, she couldn't say a single harsh word, only wanting to throw herself into my arms. And she indeed did so. After all, we were already husband and wife now, so there was no need to scrupulously avoid what was scrupulously avoided before. She gently patted my back. Her tone was even gentler and warmer than the spring sunshine of March. This is called courage, not stopping at no means. Miracles are clearly such a simple sentence, yet, like a sharp needle, it smoothed away the pitted, jagged scars engraved in my heart for years. I was no longer suppressing those emotions that brought me pain. Inside the car cabin, only the newlywed couple leaning against each other remained. After the emotions dispersed, recalling the scene just now, I only felt awkward. How did I end up crying in front of Setsuka Yanagi? How was I supposed to explain this? While I was deliberating, Setsuka Yanagi spoke first. Aren't you curious why I agreed to the marriage alliance? The reasons are the same as yours. First, it's to join forces. Second, you are very good. Third, I am getting older and it's time to settle down and form a family. The moment I heard it, I knew she was merely glossing over it with me. In her past life, for my sake, she was urged by her family until she was 35 years old without forming a family, so I sneered and complained in a low voice, "Liar!" A trace of surprise flashed in Setsuka Yanagi's eyes, and she nodded non-committally. "You lied too, so it's a 1-to-1 draw." At the exact same time, Ruin Yanagi was pouring alcohol down her throat incessantly, refusing to set down her wine glass even after drinking until she vomited. Fumiyoru on the side cried until his eyes were swollen, persuading her with a hoarse voice. "Ruin, stop drinking, okay? If you keep drinking like this, you'll end up in the hospital. Don't hurt yourself like this for an ungrateful man who loves to climb high branches, okay?" Hearing these words, Ruyan Yanagi's somewhat turbid eyes recovered a bit of clarity. She grabbed Fumiyoru's collar, her voice carrying drunkenness. What ungrateful. What high branches? He married my aunt just to make me angry. After knowing him for over 10 years, how could I not be clear about his little thoughts? He just wants me to coax him. Fuma, if I go find him right now and crook my finger, he will definitely come back. Saying that, Ruyan Yanagi shoved the wine bottle aside, standing up falteringly and walking toward the door. Biting his lip, Fumiyoru followed behind her with a face full of unwillingness. After the taxi driver parked the car at Nanwan Via, Ruyan Yanagi entered the password directly and barged in. In the quiet night, the continuous sounds of knocking on the door disturbed everyone's sweet dreams. The butler opened the door and, seeing that it was her, quickly called someone to help her inside, preparing to go upstairs to notify Setsuka Yanagi. Blown by the night wind, Ruyan Yanagi also sobered up a tiny bit, insisting on throwing a fit and following upstairs to smash violently on the door. Wakened by the noise, Etsuka Yanagi opened the door, and seeing her reeking of alcohol, her face darkened instantly. "Take her to sober up!" Having received the instruction, the butler quickly led the person into the bathroom. Only Fumiyoru was left alone in the hallway, lowering his head to try to reduce his presence, his voice sounding like he was almost going to cry. "President Yanagi, hello." Setsuka Yanagi swept a glance at him, just about to ask what happened tonight, when she heard a burst of footsteps coming from behind. "What are you making noise about?" Seeing me rubbing my eyes as I walked out, a bit of warmth rose in those cold eyes of hers. Turning around to take my arm, she signaled, "You go rest first, I'll handle it right away." Hearing the familiar voice, Fumayoru couldn't help raising his head, only to see the person Ruyan Yanagi had missed all night, now nestling in another woman's arms, being meticulously cared for. Recalling that his painstaking plotting during this period had all come to nothing, and the person he hated the most was now living the life he envied the most, Fumayoru felt extreme resentment and couldn't resist stirring up trouble. "Mr. Azuma, Miss knew you were getting married today and was sad the whole night. No matter how angry you are with her, you shouldn't use President Yanagi as a front to hurt Mrs. Hart like this. She already promised to marry you, so how could you break your promise?" Not seeing him for a few days, Fumayoru's ability to sow discord and speak in a green tea manner had truly grown day by day. I raised my eyebrows, just about to speak, when I heard Setsuka Yanagi's deep voice, "Sharp-tongued! Tomorrow I'll have to ask sister-in-law how she trained such a sharp-witted servant." Hearing the words sister-in-law, a chill sprouted all over Fumayoru's body. Ruyan Yanagi's parents had always been unable to stand him, trying several times to find an excuse to fire their family, only to be stopped by Ruyan Yanagi. If this were to be personally reported to their door by Setsuka Yanagi, even if the King of Heaven came, he wouldn't be able to protect their family. So he frantically made excuses, his speech becoming slurred. "No, President Yanagi, everything I said is the truth. The one Mr. Azuma has always wanted to marry is our miss. The whole Jinbei knows." Before he could even finish speaking, I loosened up my wrists and decisively gave him 2 punches. I used all my strength, hitting Fumayoru until he saw stars. "Why did you hit me?" Being beaten dizzy, Fumayoru also lost his mind, slumping onto the ground and roaring out of emotional control. I looked at him nonchalantly. "1 punch is because you ran into me with the car last time, and the other punch is to pay you back. Is it that hard to understand?" Hearing these words, Setsuka Yanagi's gaze frozen in an instant. When she looked down at the person on the ground, the emotion contained in those eyes made Fumayoru shudder from cold. There was no anger nor contempt, only a cold detachment as if looking at an ant. In an instant, he only felt his scalp go numb, feeling for the first time that death was so close to him. Just as he was on the verge of collapsing, the butler came out with Ruyan Yanagi, who had mostly sobered up. She spotted me at a single glance, stumbling over in an attempt to grab me, only to have her hand slapped away by Setsuka Yanagi. The eldest daughter temper she had cultivated over many years made her unable to resist wanting to lose her temper, but the moment she saw that familiar face, the impatience on her face instantly turned into fear. Aunt! Toward this niece who wasn't much younger than her, Setsuka Yanagi had never put on the air of an elder, but at this moment her mood was extremely bad, so she showed no mercy at all, shouting right in front of the servants, "Ruyan Yanagi, throwing a drunken fit right in my house, and even bringing a dog that bites people." Being so unmindful, did you forget I told you that the Yanagi family does not raise good-for-nothing slacker drunkards? The atmosphere of the entire villa dropped to freezing point because of this sentence. Everyone didn't even dare to breathe, shrinking their bodies one after another to reduce their presence, lest they touch the family head's bad temper. Except for me. It was my first time seeing Setsuka Yanagi throw such a big temper, and also my first time seeing the usually lawless Ruyan Yanagi being subdued so submissively. I couldn't help but marvel. Every creature really has its conqueror. Since I now had someone backing me up, I no longer needed to endure it either, so I simply laid out all the words clearly. "Ruyan Yanagi, since you'll have to call me uncle-in-law from now on, I'll just speak some words directly. I don't want to be dragged into the entangled love story between you and Fumayoru. You two suit each other very well, and none of it has anything to do with me. In the future, if there's nothing going on, don't appear in front of me again. I have my own family now and also your elder, so even if we meet in the future, I hope you can hold the most basic respect for me. Not saying to be obsequious, but the proper etiquette still cannot be lacking. That way it won't give people cause to gossip that the Yanagi family raised a daughter improperly. Don't you think so?" A few sentences made Ruyan Yanagi leap in anger. Just as she was about to refute, she heard another voice that terrified her. "Understood or not?" Seeing Ryuyan Yanagi lowering her head to admit her mistake, Setsuka Yanagi was also tired, leaving behind one sentence before holding my hand to return to the room. "If you understood, why haven't you left? Do you want me to call the servants to lead you out?" Ryuyan Yanagi didn't dare to stay for a single second, pulling Fumayoru and fleeing downstairs. The villa restored its tranquility once again. I let out a yawn and had just laid back down on the bed when Setsuka Yanagi slipped into my arms. "What was that about the car accident? Was the wound on your forehead sustained from that time? Tell me about it." I didn't want her to worry, so I tried to laugh it off. "It's fine. It's all in the past. Look at me, healthy and sound." While picking up her phone to contact the hospital to arrange an examination, Setsuka Yanagi interrupted my words with a frown. "You being injured is no small matter." Hearing the concern and care in her tone, my nose turned sore as I almost cried from being touched, but I held back my tears and told her everything that had happened during this period, item by item, detail by detail. In the afternoon of the next day, Ryuyan Yanagi was shaken awake in a daze. Pressing her head that was dizzy with pain, she opened her eyes, just about to lose her temper, when she saw Fumayoru crying hysterically. "Ryuyan, Madam wants to fire my parents and kick our whole family out of the Yanagi family. Hurry and think of a way." The blurry images in her mind vanished without a trace the moment she heard these words. She sat up abruptly, her tone full of disbelief. "Impossible!" As she spoke, she picked up her phone to call Mother Yanagi to find out the truth. But after the call went through, the moment she heard her intention, Mother Yanagi hung up the phone directly. There is no room for negotiation on this matter. Hearing this firm answer, Fumayoru cried even louder, hugging her and begging incessantly. "Miss Ryuyan, please persuade Madam again, okay? Our whole family didn't do anything wrong. Fuma just wanted to stay by your side, that's all. You must understand my heart, right?" Seeing him collapse like this, Ryuyan Yanagi felt distressed beyond measure. After finding out Mother Yanagi's location, she took the Fuma family and rushed toward the ancestral home. The usually quiet ancestral home was packed with people today, human voices audible even from far away. Ryuyan Yanagi didn't know what was happening inside, intending to wait for her mother to come out before speaking, but after standing for merely 3 to 5 minutes, she couldn't withstand Fumayoru's repeated entreaties and barged right in. The instant the living room door was knocked open, the people in the hall turned around one after another, revealing the scene where the young and old of the Yanagi family, along with Kosei's parents, were gathered under one roof, while Setsuka Yanagi and I were kneeling in front of old Master Yanagi to serve tea. Ryuyan Yanagi realized that now was not a suitable time, just as she was about to lead her people away. Mother Fuma, who lacked eye for the situation, wiped her tears, knelt down in front of Father and Mother Yanagi, and cried tearfully, "Madam, old Fuma and I have served you and Master for over 10 years, and Miss was also raised under my eyes. Why are you firing our whole family without saying a word? If there's anywhere we didn't do well, tell us and we'll change." Being made a scene of like this by a few servants in broad daylight, Mrs. Yanagi's face turned dark all of a sudden. "Enough, whatever it is. Talk about it after going back. This is the ancestral home. Mother Fuma, you are being presumptuous." Hearing ancestral home, Mother Fuma cried even harder instead, even kneeling in front of the old master to complain of grievances. In an instant, the proper tea-serving session turned into a court complaining of unfairness. The 3 members of the Fuma family insisted on having the old master make a decision for them. Father and Mother Yanagi were dizzy with rage, yet were unable to stop it due to etiquette and face. Old Master Yanagi had never mistreated servants behind closed doors, so hearing these words, he was bound to ask for a clear explanation. Seeing that Grandpa was personally inquiring into it, Ryuyan Yanagi also knew that big trouble had occurred, not daring to utter a word and winking frantically at Fumayoru. But Fumayoru, who was immersed in pain, thought she wanted to abandon him completely, so he simply followed his mother in kowtowing incessantly. Seeing that the matter was about to reach an unmanageable state, Setsuka Yanagi casually picked up the glass on the table and smashed it in front of the Fuma family. With a loud bang, glass shattered and flew everywhere. The living room that was stirred into a foul mess instantly became quiet as a mouse. After helping me sit down, Setsuka Yanagi walked up to the old master and bowed slightly. "Dad, go upstairs with Uncle Azuma and Auntie Jiang to drink tea and chat. Leave this matter to me to handle, and I will definitely give you and our relatives an explanation." With these words from her, old Master Yanagi naturally felt reassured, taking his in-laws and leaving. Only the Yanagi family members remained in the living room. Setsuka Yanagi sat in the high seat, looking down at the three people kneeling on the floor, her tone devoid of any emotion. "Fuma Yoru, I remember you are sharp-tongued, so you represent the Fuma family to explain everything clearly." Facing this family head who made the subordinates tremble at the mere mention of her name, Fuma Yoru felt immense fear in his heart, but he was also clear that with many people present now, it was his only chance to grasp. So he wiped the tears off his face, knelt on the floor, and explained the origin and process of the matter, item by item, detail by detail. Tonight, the relatives of the Yanagi family, along with the bodyguards and servants at the door, all revealed speechlessly annoyed expressions. It's the 21st century. Isn't it just getting fired? It's not like you can't find a job. Is it necessary to make such a scene? Only Setsuka Yanagi had no change in expression from start to finish. She invited her eldest brother and sister-in-law over, asking them to send people to call all the servants in the house over. In front of the entire audience, she asked these servants about their thoughts regarding firing the Fuma family. Talking about this, the originally silent crowd stepped forward one after another, laying out what was in their hearts. "I think Madam did nothing wrong. Fuma Yoru relied on Mrs. Favor to act arrogantly and domineeringly at home every day, even daring to use Madam's jewelry and clothes to threaten us not to speak out, even saying that if Madam asked, we should say mistook them and broke them. I also think firing them is good. Mother Fuma showed off her son every day. Who knows which day he'd try to climb onto a high branch. She pushed all the chores onto us, slacking off every day without working. Old Fuma is like that too, secretly taking gifts sent by guests. When caught by someone, he said Miss agreed to it. Who knows how many times it happened. In these rising and falling complaints, the faces of the Fuma family turned pale beyond measure. Ryuyan Yanagi, who was anxious to the point of almost bursting into flames, had a subtle change in her expression after listening. The rest of the Yanagi family members were either filled with righteous indignation or glaring with cold eyes. Not a single person held compassion for these three people anymore. I, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, picked up my teacup and took a few sips, a trace of coldness flashing across my eyes. In my past life, this scene had also happened. However, back then, I didn't hold a wedding, Setsuka Yanagi was far away abroad, and Ryuyan Yanagi didn't accompany me here. When the police barged in with the Fuma family, old Master Yanagi, who was advanced in years, had his heart softened by the Fuma family's crying and scolded Father and Mother Yanagi on the spot. Although Father and Mother Yanagi admitted their fault not long after returning, they found another excuse to drive the Fuma family away and made them pay compensation. The Fuma family consequently took on high-interest loans, and with no way out, the Fuma family could only marry Fuma Yoru off to a debt collector to offset the debt. In the 3rd year after his marriage, his wife passed away, and my fate ushered in a turn because of this. Since I was reborn, I changed the marriage alliance candidate, and the direction of the story underwent changes as well. Under the same scene, with Setsuka Yanagi presiding over it, I believed everything would be different. And the fact was also as I expected. After Father and Mother Yanagi also explained the matter clearly in public, Setsuka Yanagi directly announced the result. Everyone heard the testimony clearly, and the physical evidence should be present as well. Eldest brother, sister-in-law, do you think that based on the current situation you should report it to the police under the charge of illegal theft to recover and claim damages for the stolen goods? What do you think? A word awakened the people in the dream. Father and Mother Yanagi quickly called someone to dial 110. Knowing what kind of astronomical price the items they stole and damaged added up to, old Fuma and Mother Fuma had already lost their minds, kowtowing heavily to beg for mercy. Father and Mother Yanagi, who were made to lose all face, showed no leniency whatsoever. Hearing the sound of the police siren, Fuma Yoru shifted on his knees to the front of Ryuyan Yanagi. As a person begging on his knees, but Ryuyan Yanagi, who had witnessed the entire process with her own eyes, had no compassion in her heart. Her eyes looking at Fumiyoru no longer held the tenderness of the past. Things have reached this point. In the future. The remaining words got stuck in Ruyan Yanagi's throat. She looked at old Master Fuma, who rushed into the kitchen, picked up a knife, and committed suicide by cutting his own throat, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Dad!" Just as Fumiyoru's hysterical crying and shouting ended, Mother Fuma also followed in committing suicide with a face full of despair. "Mom!" Bright red blood splashed onto the marble floor, dripping continuously. The surveillance camera clearly captured the whole story of the matter. The police cleared the scene, took the notes, and were about to return to the police station with the bodies and Fumiyoru. Ruyan Wanigi held the person and refused to let go, no matter what. Fumiyoru collapsed in her arms, his eyes vacant, obviously having suffered a breakdown. She was distressed after all, intending to discuss with the police to wait until his emotions stabilized. Setsuka Yanagi stopped all of this from happening. She brought over a copy of the surveillance footage, handing it to the police while making a request without haste. "Officer Jang, this clearly captures the scene of Fumiyoru suspected of attempting to murder my husband. I apply to file a case for investigation." Hearing these words, Fumiyoru, who was originally confused, instantly snapped sober, screaming out of control, "It wasn't me! That was just an accident!" The police have already investigated it clearly, and Ruyan also signed a letter of understanding for me. You can't hold me accountable for my fault. As he argued with agitated emotions, Ruyan Yanagi also wanted to help prove it, but Setsuka Yanagi didn't give her this opportunity. "Officer Zhang, my husband and the signer are only friends. That letter of understanding at the police station has no legal effect whatsoever, and my husband himself advocates pursuing accountability and investigation. Do you understand what I mean?" Officer Zhang's face became serious, solemnly taking the evidence, about to leave with Fumiyoru. Ruyan Yanagi still wanted to stop them, but was called to a halt by a sentence from Setsuka Yanagi. "If you walk out of this main door today, you won't need to be surnamed Yanagi in the future. Our Yanagi family cannot tolerate a criminal element who conspires with a murderer. In addition, you were also present on the day of the incident, and your name was signed on the agreement, so you will definitely be summoned by the police station in the future. I hope you tell the true situation item by item, detail by detail. As for whether you are truly innocent or an accomplice, leave that to the police and the court." Ruyan Yanagi's face also turned pale as paper, not daring to say another word. Seeing that she didn't make any move, Fumiyoru's last bit of hope was extinguished. He used all his strength to break free, pounced on her, and gave her a harsh punch, his tone full of despair. "Ruyan Yanagi, you are actually such a weak, incompetent, cold-hearted, and faithless woman. I misjudged you. No wonder Kosei Azuma looked down on you. You deserve to be dumped by him and used by me. Ha ha ha. I'm telling you, I don't like you at all. All those sweet words I said to you were merely to coax and fool you into transferring money and giving gifts to me. You only have this bit of utilization value. Except for money in that face, you are just a useless, good-for-nothing. If there were a second life, I would rather marry a maid and absolutely never spare you another glance." Ruyan Yanagi's eyes, which originally still held a trace of hesitation and pity, became cold amidst these word-by-word sentences. For the first time, she realized that the person she had liked for so many years and protected for so many years was actually just a villain. She pushed Fumiyoru away with a single shove, her tone carrying uncontainable suppressed rage and pain. "Get out!" The police left the Yanagi family ancestral home with the man who was still struggling. The moment the door shut, Ruyan Yanagi only felt that all the strength in her body had been drained. She suddenly turned around, bumping straight into a pair of familiar eyes. "Kosei." I didn't respond to her. I reached out my hand to Setsuka Yanagi on the side, my voice light and gentle. "The matter is temporarily over. It's time to serve tea to my parents." "Okay." They've probably grown impatient waiting. Looking at the backs of the two departing while leaning on each other, the luster slowly faded from the bottom of Ruyan Yanagi's eyes, a burst of severe pain surging at her heart, so painful that her tears poured up. She felt that something was separating from her body, slowly drifting far away. On the way home, Setsuko Yanagi kept flipping through the hospital examination report just delivered by her secretary. She read the sentence, "Minor trauma, no abnormalities in organs or bones," 6 or 7 times before finally setting her mind at ease. I casually took the report and tossed it into the bag, my tone very cheerful. "I already said it was fine, yet you insisted on taking me for an examination this morning. Now you can finally be at ease, right? Only by seeing the examination results with my own eyes can I be much more at ease, spending more time." These words were reasonable as well. I nodded, then remembered a very important matter. "When did you get the surveillance footage from Ruyan Yanagi's villa?" "This morning," Setsuko Yanagi answered crisply. I felt somewhat puzzled. She didn't know? She doesn't need to know. After all assets in her hands must pass through my hands. Houses, cars, shares, without exception. Hearing this, a very strange thought suddenly popped into my head. Before I had time to capture this fleeting spark of inspiration, it vanished in a flash, leaving only a sense of strangeness straddling my heart, unable to dissipate for a long time. But since the matter was resolved, I was too lazy to recall it further, asking Setsuko Yanagi with keen interest whether she wanted to try my cooking skills. She gave me an astonished look, her tone carrying surprise. "You know how to cook?" The 21-year-old me naturally didn't, but in the past life, after having a daughter, I learned a lot following a nutritionist. But in front of her, I didn't dare to put on airs of knowing too much, expressing very humbly, "Slightly understand a bit." Once in the kitchen, after I fried that fresh and fat Xinjiang fish until it turned black and thick smoke rose in the kitchen, the confidence on my face turned into awkwardness. Racking my brain to find excuses. What I know are all nutritious meals. It's my first time frying fish, so failing once is normal, right? Setsuko Yanagi forcibly held back a smile, expressing full affirmation for my argument. "Then let's make nutritious meals from now on. It's good for both of us to eat healthily, living to 100 years old and growing old together." Clearly a sentence with an extremely good meaning, yet after hearing it, a bit of sorrow sprouted in my heart. In the past life, I only lived until 35 years old, and she also died in the same year. Added together, the two of us couldn't even make up 100 years old. Although fate had veered off track in this life, no one knew what lay ahead. Seeing the trance in my eyes, Setsuko Yanagi guessed that I probably recalled some unhappy matter, quickly changing the topic. "However, since you don't even know how to make fish, why did you suddenly want to give it a try?" A single sentence choked me. I mumbled and stuttered without being able to explain the reason, finally wiping the black residue on my hand onto her clothes in a bit of annoyance. "I heard that you love eating it, so that's why. Had I known you wouldn't appreciate the gesture, I wouldn't have wasted my effort." While wiping my hands for me, Setsuko Yanagi coaxed, "Even if husband makes it burnt, I still love eating it. How about having someone send a few more fish over? I'll help you watch the heat. We'll definitely succeed today." With these words from her, my confidence surged greatly. Rolling up my sleeves again, after several hours of hard work and harming 3 fish that died with grievances, I successfully stewed a milky white fish soup. Setsuko Yanagi immediately took a photo as a souvenir and posted her very first WeChat Moments post. The first bowl of fish soup stewed by my husband. Within a few minutes, the likes and comments reached 99 plus. "Who stewed it? Kosei? When did he learn to cook? None of us knew. So sour, so sour, so sour, so sour. So sour. Who's coming to stew a bowl of fish soup for me? I want to drink it too. Next time, let brother-in-law show off his skill." Ruyan Yanagi also came across this moment's post. Looking at the hand wearing a ring exposed at the corner of the photo, her full heart of desolation reached its peak at this moment. This ring originally belonged to her, and this bowl of fish soup was originally cooked for her as well. But now everything had turned to dust. She had nothing left, only a lifetime of coldness remaining. Where on earth did it go wrong? Ruyan Yanagi couldn't figure it out, only able to drown her sorrows in alcohol. After becoming tipsy, those suppressed feelings of desire were released. She couldn't help calling my phone, and it was finally connected on the 4th try. Listening drowsily, Her voice was heavy. "Kosei, it was my bad before. I shouldn't have ignored you time and time again. I'm sorry. I know you have me in your heart, and marrying my aunt was merely throwing a tantrum at me, right? Divorce her and return to my side, okay? I promise you I will be devoted to you wholeheartedly in the future." She murmured in a low voice, laying out all those unspoken secrets of her heart cleanly. But the other side remained silent without saying a word from start to finish. This endless silence made Ruan Yanagi somewhat flustered and irritable. "Kosei, why aren't you speaking? Wife, where's the hairdryer?" Hearing the faint, familiar male voice in the phone, Ruin Yanagi's breathing stopped. In the next second, she heard Setsuka Yanagi's voice right at hand, exceptionally clear. "Wait a moment, I'll bring it to you." After a gentle response, her tone suddenly became icy cold. "Ruyan Yanagi, your top priority right now is to give an explanation to the police station, not to offend the uncle-in-law you have hurt time and time again." With a beep, the phone was hung up. Ruyan Yanagi's heart couldn't stop falling into the dark night. On the other side, Setsuka Yanagi was holding the hairdryer to blow my hair. While playing on my phone, I casually asked, "Did someone call just now?" Setsuka Yanagi nodded, telling the truth. Ruyan Yanagi got drunk again and called to throw a drunken fit. I gave her a scolding for you. Using the word scolding on Ruyan Yanagi always felt somewhat out of place to me, but recalling that she and I were now relatives, a wonderful feeling of a dragon ascending to the sky suddenly sprouted in my heart, making me unable to resist wanting to ask for a clear explanation. "From your tone, it sounds like you scold her often. But aren't you only 6 years older than her?" Seeing the curiosity on my face, Setsuka Yanagi laughed softly. "When she was in kindergarten, she was too naughty, deliberately pulling away a chair and causing the old master to fall and fracture a bone, staying in the hospital for half a month. I gave her a harsh lesson. From then on, seeing me was like a mouse seeing a cat, so it left a psychological shadow. I finally understood the reason. She's so afraid of you, but how do you view her?" Setsuka Yanagi's hand paused, many complex emotions flashing across her eyes. After deliberating for a long time, she only gave a measured answer. "Too impulsive, not mature enough, difficult to assume heavy responsibilities. A very pertinent evaluation indeed." I was somewhat amazed by Setsuka Yanagi's sharp judgment of character, unable to refrain from asking her about her view of me. This time she hesitated for an even longer time. Smart, sharp, decisive, and, most importantly, has good judgment. Living for 2 lives, it was my first time hearing someone evaluate me with these words, but only I knew that these were all lessons I exchanged with blood and tears. The 7-year marriage of cold violence, the tragically deceased daughter, the lingeringly sick and depressed life. Even if they were already the distant past, whenever I recalled them, I still felt lingering fear in my heart. Holding Setsuka Yanagi and listening to her heartbeat, I slowly vented and digested those emotions. Everything was a brand new beginning. Time passed day by day. On the day the first snow fell, Fuma Yoru, who bore multiple charges such as theft and intentional murder, was sentenced by the court to 6 years of fixed-term imprisonment. When the news reached Ruyan Yanagi, she was dead drunk and didn't take this matter to heart. During this half-year, she was immersed in a life of living fast and dying young, rarely having moments of sobriety, and no one could persuade her. Every time after getting drunk, she would keep muttering my name. Her friends looked at each other, yet not a single person dared to contact her. To be precise, no one dared to provoke Setsuka Yanagi. After all, the media had captured photos of the two of us honeymooning abroad several times, looking deeply in love as newlyweds. On the eve of the new year, Setsuka Yanagi brought me back from our honeymoon to celebrate the new year. At the Yanagi family banquet on New Year's Eve, she announced a piece of good news to the whole family with a face beaming with spring breeze. "I am pregnant. The doctor says it's twins." Amidst a sea of congratulations, Ruyan Yanagi lost her composure and shattered her wine glass. The whole family turned around to look at her one after another. With a pale face, she used all the strength in her body before squeezing the 2 words, "congratulations," out from between her teeth. Every minute and second became extraordinarily unbearable. After only 10 minutes, Ruyan Yanagi casually found an excuse and left in a hurry. This night, she didn't sleep, nor did she drink, sitting crying in the corner recalling the past. When the fluorescent light lit up the room, she stared blankly at those things I gave her in the cabinet. The bottle of 999 stars I folded by hand when I was 10 years old. The model I spent half a month building when I was 16 years old. The brooch and cufflinks I designed by hand when I was 20 years old. As she looked, Ruyan Yanagi's eye sockets turned red, pain permeating throughout her body, her whole heart feeling tightly squeezed as if held by a pair of hands, unable to catch her breath. Covering her face, tears slid down along the gaps between her fingers, soaking her sleeves. From this moment on, she finally understood the meaning of only learning to cherish after losing. Although the children were only 3 months old, Setsuka Yanagi had already started coming up with names. She drafted a dozen or so names for both boys and girls, attaching nickname notes to show me. Setting down the parenting book in my hand, I was attracted by one of them at a single glance. I picked up that slip of paper, looking at the 2 words, Yinmeng, on it, mist welling up in my eyes. How did you think of taking this name? Although not knowing why I was grieving, Setsuka Yanagi still embraced me in her arms at the first moment, comforting softly, "Is it not good? Then let's not use this one. Take a look at the others." Saying that, Setsuka Yanagi was about to pull out this name to throw it away. I stopped her, pressing this slip of paper close to my heart, smiling through tears. "Let's just use this one. There will definitely be a daughter, and then she'll be called Yinmeng." I said it too firmly. Setsuka Yanagi raised her hand to wipe away the tears at the corners of my eyes, handing the other slip of paper over as well. "Okay, then the other child will be called Jinghe." Hearing this, I only then realized something was wrong. Yanagi Yinmeng was the name of my daughter in my last life, decided by Old Master Yanagi. But hearing this pair of names she picked, I realized in a flash of astonishment that the name Yinmeng seemed to have been picked by her. I remembered in the past life I took the child to the ancestral home to see the old master, and Setsuka Yanagi, who was always abroad, happened to return to the country. Coming out, the 2 of us met at the door after I offered greetings. I intended to take a step first, but she called me to a halt, contrary to her usual behavior. Bringing the child back alone? Where's she? Back then, Ruyan Yanagi was still immersed in the bad news of Fuma Yoru's marriage, buying alcohol to get drunk every night, not seen once in 10 days or half a month. I felt sour in my heart, yet still had to cover for her. "She's busy lately. I didn't want to disturb her work, so I came back alone." Even after so many years had passed, I still remembered the eyes Setsuka Yanagi looked over with back then, overcast with heavy clouds, dark and unclear, laced with a trace of hidden pain. I couldn't read it back then, but recalling it now, my heart was filled with mixed feelings. In the past life, I possessed a foolish courage of not turning back until hitting the southern wall, and she also concealed her full heart of thoughts without leaking a single drop. The 2 people just missed each other for many years like this. 7 months later, Setsuka Yanagi gave birth to a pair of daughters. Having discussed it well with Setsuka Yanagi, the elder daughter Yanagi Yinmeng would inherit the Yanagi family business in the future, while the younger daughter Yanagi Jinghe would inherit the Azuma family business. During the few months Setsuka Yanagi was pregnant, I accompanied her while helping her resolve her work for the next half year. So after the children were born, Setsuka Yanagi had plenty of time to help take care of them. Plus, with the help of Mother Azuma, Setsuka Yanagi enjoyed her leisure. After finishing the postpartum confinement month, our couple carried the children back to the ancestral home. The old master was overjoyed beyond measure, dividing the jewelry and accessories left behind by the old mistress into 2 halves and giving them all to the 2 granddaughters. The other elders of the Yanagi family all prepared generous gifts, and Father and Mother Yanagi even transferred the private amusement park under their name as a gift, saying it was a meeting gift for their nieces. I remembered that this amusement park was originally under Ruyan Yanagi's name. I subconsciously glanced at her. Only then did I realize that having not seen her for a few months, she had become gaunt to the point of being nearly unrecognizable. Perhaps sensing my gaze, Ruyan Yanagi raised her head, her bloodshot eyes flickering for a few moments before turning away again. Setsuka Yanagi also looked over along with me, her eyebrows furrowing slightly. In this 1 year since marrying me, she rarely asked about Ruyan Yanagi's affairs, though she occasionally heard news. Although Setsuka Yanagi didn't like her spoiled, arrogant temperament, she was, after all, her elder brother's biological daughter, and Setsuka was the head of the Yanagi family. In all reason and fairness, she couldn't just stand by and watch Ruyan Yanagi degenerate like this. So after the family banquet ended, Setsuka Yanagi called her into the study. No one knew what was said, but when she came back out, her complexion was much better, and her eyes had a spirited glow again. Seeing her perk back up, the old master and father and mother Yanagi finally set their suspended hearts at ease. On the way home, I ultimately couldn't suppress my curiosity. "Wife, what did you two talk about in the study?" Setsuka Yanagi tucked the child in with a small blanket, holding my hand in her palm. I gave her the Kaneshikawa project, just like that. Seeing the confusion on my face, Setsuka Yanagi explained to me patiently. The reason she drank her days away was merely because she had lived a luxurious life for too long, becoming bogged down in romantic relationships and unable to break free. Giving her something to do keeps her busy so she won't have time to indulge in wild thoughts, saving her from drinking herself into health issues and worrying her parents. Winter went and spring came, year after year. The two little children slowly grew up, babbling as they learned to speak, able to call out "Papa" and "Mama." Ever since getting married, Setsuka Yanagi, who was once called a workaholic, lived a 9-to-5 life of leaving work right on time. Every day after work, the first thing she did was follow my instructions to buy various desserts and toys, bringing along a bouquet of flowers as well. Before even entering the door, the two little ones would hear the footsteps and swarm over, calling "Papa" and "Mama" endlessly. The female CEO, who was swift and decisive in the business realm, was completely unable to cope when facing the siege of her daughters, sometimes carrying the elder sister to ride the swing, sometimes taking the younger sister to play with the toy train, unable to rest for even a moment. After being tormented like this for 4 or 5 years, Setsuka Yanagi couldn't take it anymore either. As soon as the children reached the age, they were sent to kindergarten. On the first day of school, after waving goodbye and waiting until the figures of the two little girls disappeared behind the door, she let out a long sigh of relief, taking my hand as we left. Seeing her so impatient, I clicked my tongue twice, teasingly poking fun at her. Back then, who was it that said having 2 daughters was great, wanting to accompany them as they grow up without separating for even a moment, even saying they'd open a kindergarten at home? It's only been a few years. Can't take it anymore already? Setsuka Yanagi pressed the center of her brows, deeply repenting for her ignorance and naivete back then. Neither of our personalities is that lively. How come both children are more rowdy than the other? Regarding this matter, I had a huge right to speak. I looked at her intently, speaking with earnest sincerity. Isn't it because you spoil them too much? Whenever I say a few words, you smooth things over right there. How could they possibly quiet down? If you ask me, you brought this suffering upon yourself. After being given a lecture, Setsuka Yanagi didn't dare say a single word. Seeing her silently taking the scolding, driver Uncle Liu laughed, unable to contain his amusement. "Sir, ever since you married President Yanagi, her status in the household has been dropping day by day." Who could have guessed that someone who used to keep a stern face toward everyone would now become such a gentle person? Setsuka Yanagi shook her head with a face full of helplessness, unable to refute. I said with a beaming smile, "Uncle Liu, don't look at her frowning face right now. She's actually thoroughly enjoying it inside." "That's for sure, sir. You don't know, but the employees in the company are all very grateful to you. They say that after President Yanagi formed a family, she realized the importance of family, so no one has to work overtime anymore, following President Yanagi and leaving right on the dot. In that case, Uncle Liu, park the car by the roadside and off you go from work too?" Since the boss had spoken, Uncle Liu didn't dawdle either, quickly parking the car and handing the keys over. Setsuka Yanagi sat in the driver's seat, typing an address into the display screen. I didn't know what drama she was pulling again, asking, casually, "Why are we going to Mount Enkei?" "A date! The weather is so nice, and I heard a hot spring resort opened over there. It's good to go look at the autumn scenery." I had originally planned to go back home to sleep in, so I raised an objection to this unannounced itinerary of hers. Setsuka Yanagi softened her voice, negotiating with me. How long has it been since the two of us enjoyed a world of just two people? Husband, the opportunity is rare. I couldn't win against her, so I could only agree. After comfortably soaking in the hot spring, our couple snuggled together sitting in front of the French windows, looking at the lush green and red leaves all over the mountain. Setsuko Yanagi covered the bath towel draped over me, her actions patient and meticulous. Looking at those gentle eyes right in front of me, a sense of unreality abruptly welled up inside me. Could a harmonious, peaceful, and endlessly sweet life actually appear in my life? After being stared at for a while, Setsuko Yanagi hooked her finger against my nose. What's wrong? What are you daydreaming about again? After a long pause, I asked her a question. Back then, if I hadn't married you, or rather if I hadn't entered the Yanagi family, would you have married someone else? No, she answered so decisively that it surprised me. Why? Setsuko Yanagi wrapped her arm around my shoulders, leaning against the back of the chair while those deep, dark eyes looked into the distance. If it weren't an alliance, I wouldn't have had any thoughts of marriage. I knew she was telling the truth, and I also knew she hadn't told the full truth. For example, in the first sentence, she omitted the part unsuitable for an alliance with you in the middle. Except for me, she wouldn't marry anyone else in the past life. I had already known the answer, so I was firmly convinced. However, in this life, we had been married for so many years, and the children were already so big, yet she still kept her secret crush on me hidden without leaking a single drop. I even admired her composure a little. On the day of the two children's 6th birthday, the old master planned to hold a birthday banquet for them. I specifically took 2 days off from school, and our family of 4 went to the ancestral home a day in advance. Seeing that the banquet was about to start, the cake ordered several days in advance had still not arrived. Setsuko Yanagi wanted to drive to the shop to inquire, but I refused to let her step out the door, preferring to let the servants make 2 temporary cakes instead. But I knew the children had been looking forward to this castle cake for a long time and didn't want to disappoint them. The old master doted on his great-granddaughters, also saying for her to go and return quickly. I still refused to agree. Setsuko Yanagi originally wanted to persuade me, but upon seeing my slightly trembling hands and the tension in my eyes, her heart softened as well, setting down the keys. It's a good birthday. What's wrong? If you don't want me to go, then I won't go. Be happy, okay? Only then did I slowly calm down, yet I still refused to let go of her hand. Because I remembered clearly that in the past life, Setsuko Yanagi had gotten into a car accident on the day of the children's 6th birthday. In this life, although the direction of the story had changed, I didn't dare to harbor any sense of luck. The pain of losing one's closest and most beloved was something I had already experienced once, so this time, no matter what, I had to keep her by my side. Knowing that the castle cake couldn't be delivered, the 2 little girls pouted their faces, holding hands while swinging in the garden, letting out sigh after sigh. Ruyan Yanagi, who happened to return, saw them, a gentle smile rising on her face. Holding a meticulously prepared gift, she walked over to their side, intending to give them a surprise, when she heard the 2 little girls muttering, "Why didn't Papa let Mama go fetch the cake for us?" I don't know either, but Papa forbade it, so Mama will definitely listen to him. Forget it. Next year we'll have Mama buy a new one again. By then we'll be a year older, so the castle will definitely be even prettier and bigger. Hearing this, Ruyan Yanagi's heart moved slightly. What cake? Seeing her, the 2 little girls both threw themselves into her arms, calling out "Big Sister" endlessly, then telling her about the cake in baby voices. Ruyan Yanagi nodded, handing the gift into their hands and patting their heads. Then you 2 wait obediently at home for a bit. Big Sister will go help you fetch the cake back. However, the little girls didn't agree immediately, holding onto her left and right instead. No need, Big Sister. Mama said we'll just eat ordinary cake today. If she finds out, she'll definitely be angry. That's right, Big Sister. If you go now, you won't make it back in time for us to blow out the candles, and then there won't be enough cake. Looking at their quirky, clever expressions in a flash, Ruyan Yanagi felt as if 2 of the young me were standing right in front of her. The imagery of the childhood me following behind her, calling Ruyan-ni non-stop, was something she could never forget to this day. Unfortunately, everything could no longer go back. She closed her eyes to cover the emotion beneath them, squeezing out a smile again. It's fine, as long as you don't tell Mama. Big Sister will go help you fetch the cake. You two must remember to secretly hide a slice of birthday cake for Big Sister." After the three made a pinky promise agreement, Ruyan Yanagi left holding the keys. Right before stepping out the door, through a strange twist of fate, she looked back, seeing me holding the two children as we walked back toward the living room. Kosei still looked just like he did at 20 years old, as if time had left no traces on me. But Ruyan Yanagi knew everything was different. I no longer belonged to her. Only after my figure disappeared behind the door did Ruyan Yanagi gloomily get into the car. Today's weather was somewhat gloomy. She looked at the distance, slowly shortening on the navigation, waiting for the traffic light. When she raised her head again, a very beat-up car suddenly drove over in the right lane, stopping beside her and rolling down the window. She subconsciously turned her head, her gaze abruptly freezing after seeing that face that was emaciated like a skeleton. The next second, a massive force crashed over. Window glass fragments flew everywhere, and blood poured out like a spring. What spread even faster than the severe pain was endless bewilderment and paleness. Before losing consciousness, Ruyan Yanagi used every last bit of her strength to tear off the necklace worn around her neck. In the vehicle crushed into pieces, the music player on the screen still lightly sang a song. "I once possessed you, it truly makes my heart ache." The news of Ruyan Yanagi's car accident reached me 8 hours after the accident occurred. This night, our family was still staying at the ancestral home. The two girls had already fallen asleep, still babbling in their dreams about saving a slice of cake. My wife and I thought they were still thinking about the castle cake and were discussing ordering another one tomorrow when Setsuka received a phone call. Her face full of smiles instantly turned serious, quickly throwing on her clothes. "Big brother said Ruyan got into a car accident. I'll go to the hospital to check the situation. Kosei, stay at home to accompany the children and father. Don't spread news of this matter for now." Hearing this news, I was also shocked beyond measure. I had originally thought that as long as Setsuka Yanagi stayed at home, she could avoid the disaster. Yet I never expected Ruyan Yanagi would meet with the accident. The date was the exact same day, and the cause of the accident was also identical, both involving members of the Yanagi family. A multitude of coincidences gathered together, making me unable to help but start doubting. Was this truly an unavoidable decree of heaven, or was someone manipulating it behind the scenes? If it really was driven by fate, why would the ending belonging to Setsuka Yanagi be borne by Ruyan Yanagi instead? If it was a human-made accident, who on earth held such immense hostility toward the Yanagi family? After thinking all night, there was still no clue whatsoever. At dawn, I received a text message from Setsuka Yanagi. "Rescue failed." Only 4 simple words, yet I understood the meaning within them. I clenched my fist tightly and closed my eyes, that heart that had been in panic all night silently falling toward an abyss at this moment. So many years had passed. I had actually long set aside the grudges of the past, treating Ruyan Yanagi merely as a collateral relative. Yet after all, there was a bond of over 10 years. Suddenly hearing the news of her passing, I still felt somewhat suffocated. More than sadness, my emotion at this moment was closer to bewildered helplessness, containing both the powerlessness toward the departure of an old acquaintance and the dread toward the impermanence of fate. After the funeral ended, Setsuka Yanagi told me the investigation results. The police said it was premeditated murder, but currently there is no information on the killer. That car had no license plate. The police said it should have been stolen from a scrapyard, and it's still under investigation. From the occurrence of the accident until the doctor declared the rescue failed, Ruyan kept clutching a necklace tightly, not knowing if it was left by the killer or held some other meaning. Hearing this, I knitted my brows slightly. "Necklace? What necklace?" Setsuka Yanagi took out a photo taken at the hospital and handed it over for me to see. With a single glance, I recognized this blood-stained necklace. This was the coming-of-age gift Ruyan Yanagi gave me. The day before Setsuka Yanagi and my wedding, I tore off the necklace and returned it to her. I didn't expect that after so long she had actually still kept it. For a moment, emotion surged in my heart. Besides this, a thought kept flashing in my mind, but as for what it specifically was, I didn't have any clues for the time being. After Ruyan Yanagi passed away, Setsuko Yanagi had to bring the children back to the ancestral home every day to spend more time with old Master Yanagi. Everyone tacitly stopped bringing up this name, while in the eyes of the two little girls, Ruyan Yanagi had merely gone to a very, very distant place, equally unsure of when she would return. Every time Setsuko Yanagi bought a cake back, they would always reserve a slice and place it in the refrigerator. Time slowly diluted the sad atmosphere in the house. The older the two little girls grew, the more mischievous they became, turning the house upside down if one wasn't paying attention. Right after waking up from my afternoon nap, I saw the two of them sneaking around in a corner, rummaging through something. Just as I was planning to walk over and startle them, the two of them came running over waving a few pages of paper. "Who is Kosei?" I froze, only then noticing that the things in their hands were very familiar. They were the love letters Setsuko Yanagi had hidden away. The things I hadn't managed to find after searching the entire bedroom throughout 7 years of marriage were actually found by two children. I truly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I placed the items into the box to store them away, then whispered a few words into their ears. When Setsuko Yanagi returned, the two little girls excitedly ran up, surrounding her. "Mama, who is Kosei? Why did you write so many letters to him?" Looking at the things in their hands, Setsuko Yanagi's eyelids twitched as she reached to take them, only to hear my coughing sound. I leaned against the railing on the second floor, my eyes curved in a smile like a cunning fox. Just from seeing my expression, she knew I must have read the letters. When those secrets hidden in her heart for over 10 years were brought to light, she felt relieved instead. The nanny took the children outside to play. Holding the letters, she walked to my side, clearing her connection before even opening her mouth. "Your precious daughters dug them out. It has nothing to do with me." Setsuko Yanagi threw herself into my arms, smelling the fresh fragrance between my hair, smiling softly. "They were originally meant to be sent to my Kosei. How can you say it has nothing to do with you?" Having acted for so long, I finally get to hear a word of truth. I raised my hand and pinched her ear. "Honest confession, when did this happen? Why didn't you tell me when we got married?" In front of me, Setsuko Yanagi always only had the plight of surrendering. "The love letters were written when you were 17 years old. Liking you was a matter from when I was 13? Do you still remember that year when we both caught the flu? My parents were busy with work every day, so they entrusted me to your mother's care. You two stayed in a ward suite, and because your condition recovered faster, you would come to deliver medicine and candy to me every day. But because you were afraid of me, you didn't dare say a single word. Even when I fell asleep, you didn't dare wake me, sitting in front of the hospital bed for an hour at a time. The medicine was turning cold, and you fell asleep too. When I woke you up, the first thing you did upon getting up was carry the medicine bowl away, saying drinking cold medicine was uncomfortable, then running out to ask people to heat it up for me. I had a cold nature, and my older brothers and sisters were much older than me, while those around my age differed in seniority generation. Everyone was afraid of me, so ever since I was young, I was always alone. Only you would greet me obediently every time you saw me, and when giving gifts to Ruyen during holidays, you would also have her bring a portion for me. Although you were kind-hearted and polite, I remembered it for many years, never forgetting. It's just that I knew the one you liked wasn't me. Plus, I was so much older than you, which was why I buried these matters at the bottom of my heart. Fortunately, I finally have the chance to tell you now. Too much time had passed. The things Setsuko Yanagi mentioned were actually things I could no longer remember clearly. Yet seeing her talk about these past events with those eyes as bright as stars, I couldn't stop the urge to shed tears. So it turned out that while I was attempting to reach out and pluck the stars, in another person's eyes I was also a morning star that had illuminated her life. I wiped all my tears onto her clothes, speaking with a choke. "Then the Santa Claus who placed gifts outside my bedroom window every Christmas was you?" "It was me!" "The suit I wore on my 18th birthday was also sent by you mixed into Setsuko Yanagi's gifts?" "You guessed that too? The day you heard I was going to enter a political marriage with you, were you so happy you couldn't tell north from south?" North, south, east, and west were all lost to me. The winter wind was biting and desolate. I stood alone on the empty rooftop, my mind in a trance. I didn't know why I would be here, much less why in the blink of an eye I saw the three people I least wanted to see. Fumayoru held a little girl's hand, walking up to me haughtily. "Where's your precious daughter? Where's your precious daughter?" This sentence lingered around my heart like a nightmare. Lost and helpless, I looked around everywhere, wanting to search for my daughter's traces, yet there was no soul in sight anywhere. Looking up again, I saw a silver necklace glinting with cold light, piercing my eyes with raw pain. I couldn't help closing my eyes. When I opened them again, I was pulled out from the dreamland, returning to reality. Dim daylight showed outside the window, the nightlight at the head of the bed illuminating the calendar. Today was December 7th. On the exact same day in the previous life, kidnappers abducted my daughter and pushed her off the rooftop. And I dreamed of that scene during the early morning of this very day. I gasped heavily for air, wanting to wipe off the cold sweat exuding from my forehead. Just as I pulled my hand out, the slight movement woke Setsuka Yanagi sleeping soundly beside me. She opened her eyes hazily, her tone laced with sleepiness. "Had a nightmare?" I didn't want her to worry, shaking my head lightly. "It's a bit hot. Let's lower the air conditioner temperature and continue sleeping. It's still early." The person beside my pillow hummed an acknowledgement, quickly falling back asleep. I, however, was unable to fall asleep for a long time. I tossed and turned in my mind, recalling the scenes in the dream, but memory faded too quickly. After daybreak, the only thing I remembered was that necklace. What meaning did the necklace actually hold? While thinking, I unconsciously placed my hand on my neck, feeling nothing. Yet this empty feeling gave me a jolt, remembering one thing. The reason I returned the necklace to Ruyan Yanagi was because Fumayoru took a liking to this necklace. He was so jealous of my life, wanting to snatch away everything I possessed, so that definitely included the necklace as well. Before Ruyan Yanagi passed away, she kept clutching this necklace without letting go. Was she trying to tell me that the one who harmed her was Fumayoru? After realizing this point, I shuddered with a start. Several matters that had perplexed me for a long time all became clear as day at this moment. In the previous life, Fumayoru was with Ruyan Yanagi. On his path to becoming Ruyan Yanagi's husband stood two massive mountains. One was me and Yanagi Yinmeng, and the other was Setsuka Yanagi. One occupied the status of Ruyan Yanagi's husband and daughter, while the other controlled the lifeline of the entire Yanagi family. So he laid down a ruthless hand, orchestrating the car accident and kidnapping case to eliminate both obstacles. In this life, because I seized the upper hand, the direction of the story changed. The 27-year-old Fumayoru lost both his parents and was imprisoned for 6 years, his life an utter wreck. Having fallen to this state after he was released from prison, with his personality, he would definitely seek revenge. Now that Ruyan Yanagi was dead, next it would be the turn of Setsuka Yanagi, myself, and the children, and today happened to be December 7th as well. Everything coincided with the previous life, so it was all just a conspiracy. After thinking it through completely, I quickly shook the person beside me awake, urging her to get up quickly. Setsuka Yanagi, who had just fallen asleep, was dragged to the police station. After our couple found the police officer responsible for the car accident case, I brought up the matter of the necklace. The police quickly used this clue to track Fumayoru's whereabouts. We guarded the two children at home for a whole day. In the evening hours, we finally received the phone call from the police. "Mr. Azuma, based on the clues you provided, we successfully apprehended Fumayoru and his accomplice outside the kindergarten. He himself has fully confessed to the crime." Hearing this result, that massive mountain pressing on my heart instantly collapsed and dissipated. The two daughters, who were ignorant of the world, saw my expression relax, only then daring to run into my arms to act coquettishly. "Papa, I'm hungry. I want to eat sweet and sour ribs." "Don't make ribs for little sister. Her tooth fell out yesterday, so she can't eat them. Can we eat shrimp instead?" All day long thinking about nothing but food, a hint of speechlessness flashed in my eyes. Reaching out to touch Setsuka Yanagi, I raised my chin and gestured toward the kitchen. "The children are hungry. Aren't you going to take the initiative?" Setsuka Yanagi stood up very consciously, but the moment she took a step, she was held back by the two children. "If Mama is cooking, then let's go eat outside." We can also ask Auntie Shin to cook. I won't eat what Mama makes. It's so salty, so salty. The laughter and noise of the family slowly drifted into the distance amidst the thousands of household lights lighting up one after another. Tonight, the green mountains stretched far into the distance, floating clouds swaying gently. Truly the finest season in the mortal world.